What is meant by wealth gap is fewer and fewer people are owning more and more of the money. And over the last 20 years, there have been more billionaires made, and they now own 1% of the world's population, and the U.S. population own over 50% of the world's wealth. And the gap is getting bigger and bigger. And I think it's going to get bigger as AI comes in and the wealthy harness the distribution of AI and thus get wealthier. As I said, there were more billionaires made as a result of the digital revolution than any other time in the world. So what do we do, and how does this happen? And the more I dig into it, the more I realize it's they meaning the one percenters, have access to all the data. And so they make better investment decisions. And those of us who don't have access to the data just fall further and further behind. The gap is just getting bigger, and you would think it would be getting less. Now, on the other hand, the number of people who are in poverty has dropped dramatically. So that end is getting better, but as far as the wealth gap, it's getting larger, and it's because of financial illiteracy. I just finished writing a paper. It's on my website, and I'm going to try to distribute it because I think it's important to understand that the reason this gap has occurred is the wealthy have access to more knowledge, whether it be a financial advisor or it be their own knowledge. And it's not only investments, it's the tax knowledge, how to use the tax code. I went to my lawyer just this last week, and she informed me that I needed to shelter some of my wealth or it would be taxed, and that under the current law, I can actually pass 13, I think she said $13.5 million onto my heirs. But if I own it jointly, then that's all I can pay. But if I divide it such that Anita owns, we can pass 26 million. That's good information. And then that keeps it from being taxed to our heirs, so we create family wealth. This is knowledge. What has changed and what really gives me some encouragement is that access to this data has become available. As a financial advisor, back in 2005, I didn't have access to the information on individual stocks that is in their annual reports. I mean, there's 6,500 stocks, I think, traded on the two exchanges. Can you imagine every quarter you get an annual report from 6,500 stocks and you thumb through it to find out what the financial stability of that company was? Well, that's impossible. But it's now available on the internet. It's expensive to access it, but there are platforms like Best of Us Investors who are building a community to propagate financial literacy. That is to say, a community who puts their knowledge together and incurs the cost of gathering that data and then shares it and shares the proliferation of making good investment decisions. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I hope you recognize that. Do I always get it right? No, I'm learning every day. And trust me, I don't make mistakes on purpose, but I'm learning. And I want to share that with you and hope you recognize that there is an opportunity available to you now that wasn't available 20 years ago. Look at this. I've shown this many times. This is a chart charting the growth of Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, and Google over the last 20 years. If you had access to the data to see that these four companies were pumping money into data scientists and hiring up people and building an infrastructure around the internet, you would have recognized that if you put $6,000 into the four of them every year for the next 20 years, the result is you'd have today for over $4 million. So it's going to happen again. The difference is today, we have access to the data that tells us who those four companies are going to be, and then gives us the ability over the next 20 years to monitor it and track it in case something changes. But again, these companies are buying GPUs and investing in nuclear energy for a reason. And that is they want to maintain their status. And we as a community can put our heads together, put our pocketbooks together, and reap the benefits. Unlike what has happened in the past, and maybe we can close down this wealth gap that has proliferated and is continuing to grow. But again, you're going to have to make some effort. It isn't just going to happen. The government isn't going to take care of you on this. You've got to make some effort. I hope you will find a platform. If it isn't Best of Us Investors, find somebody else or invest enough so that you can monitor and you can duplicate what happened in the last 20 years. That's going to happen in the next 20 years. In fact, it'll probably happen in less because the process is just speeding up so much. I'm Kerry. I'm a retired financial advisor. I hope you recognize I won't get it right every time. I'll make mistakes. Hell, I'm a human being. That's how it works. I'm not a computer. I'm not an artificial intelligence, but I do have Samantha. And Samantha is working with me to make sure I make fewer mistakes. Talk to you again soon.